What's going on, world? It's your boy, Kuya P. This is the NRW. Nerds rule the world, back with another ShoPowSho. So, of course, it's the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Hala Hala homies in the Center Gang. It's been a minute since I've done one of these. And today I'm super excited because I have one of the homies, one of the Kuyas from the Fab Squad, the Filipino actress Barkada. He is infamous. Let me make sure I give my brother his proper credit. Jesse Inocalla is a Filipino-Canadian voiceover artist, actor, producer, currently based out of Vancouver, BC. He's one of the leads on the hit Emmy-nominated Netflix series The Dragon Prince, and has other voiceover credits that include My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Lego's Legends of Chima, as well as multiple roles on Marvel animated series. He can be heard on multiple video games for producers like Nintendo, CAPCOM, Fincon Games, IGG, and United Front Games. Let me not linger any longer. You want to see him, not me. Jesse Inocalla. There he is on the screen. What's up, brother?
What's up? Thank you so much for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure, bro. Great to see you, man. I feel... I don't know about you. It's been a minute since I've seen our Barkada fam, dude. Like,
yeah,
I was like actually, in and out of our last bit of sessions.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even sign up for this latest round because it's been insanely busy for me. But I miss y'all, man. So it's great to see a familiar face, bro.
Feelings very mutual. Truly, like I was the same for this last session of Barkada, where like I was in it with Robert's class for had 3 sessions, and then I got contacted by a local group of FilipinX artists who wanted an Arnis teacher for Tuesday nights, and I was like, well, I gotta do the thing. So yeah. I ended up having to cancel my time with Barkada for last semester because I was working with this other group. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad they keep having me.
Same, bro. Because we're like, actually, let me tell you, when I first kind of virtually met you, I felt like a kinship with you, an unspoken kinship, because here was this other bald brother,
you know it,
that wasn't in LA. I think I had the same facial hair as well.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm the DC cat, you're the Canadian cat. Like, yep. There was an unspoken kinship, bro.
We know it. It's what it is.
I love it, man. Well, I'm happy to see you, man. It's great. I'm looking forward to learning your story, bro, as well. All of your accolades, you know, plentiful. And now knowing you're like an Arnis, you teach Arnis, like what?
I do.
That's amazing, man. So let's get it rolling, man. I want to know all the things about Jesse Inocalla. And did I pronounce your last name right?
You nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it in one, man.
I can brutalize names. So it's always a pleasure to get it right. Awesome. So let's start off with that. I'm actually flipping the script a little bit. Is that your stage name or is that your actual real name to protect the innocent?
That's my real name. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because some of us have stage names to protect the innocent.
Yeah. No, I thought about it for a while, but I was like, I had a moment a couple years ago where this is less about changing my name and more about mispronouncing my name, where I had a lot of people, because a lot of producers are white, a lot of people, you know, Filipinos didn't exist until Joe Coy, apparently.
Brother.
I had so many people, and love to Joe, but you know, I had so many people who would be like Mr. Inocalla, or I had a French teacher who used to call me Mr. Inocalla. And I was just like, whatever, it's fine. And then a couple years ago, I had that revelation of like, yo, every person in the world can say Daenerys Targaryen. They can figure out Inocalla. Right. And I started correcting people in session, in booth. And I had a lot of people who were like super apologetic. And I was like, yo, to be fair, this is on me. I didn't tell you this. I don't expect you to understand the double L pronunciation in Tagalog. Like, it's not a big deal, but it was a step for me because I'm half. It was a step for me to like reclaiming and stepping into my Filipino heritage and championing it, you know?
Definitely. No, respect, bro. When I chose my SAG when I became SAG-AFTRA years ago, I was close to changing my name. At that because I felt like I was officially now, you know, once you're a SAG actor, I'm an official actor and I'm a real actor.
Yeah, of course.
And you choose your stage. That to me was like choosing the stage name. I went with my real name's, well, I've always gone by my real name, Patrick Michael Strange.
Yes.
Very Irish name, but I also uh this is a whole thing. Like we can get into a whole thing, and I'm sure other actors of color and actors like you with the, like mispronunciation of our names and everything. I was on the end of I wanted to reflect my culture, and I've never liked my Irish white name, to be honest. And I almost went by. I was almost thinking going by my first name and middle name, Patrick Michael, to having two first names, if you will.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't cultural, it was just it's separate. The Strange was always weird. Well, having the last name Strange, while cool if you're like a Marvel head, Doctor Strange, blah blah blah, but when you're a young, a teen, strange,
Oh,
and
it doesn't
then
hit well. Yeah.
it doesn't hit well, bro. And then my initials, Patrick Michael Strange, PMS.
Oof.
Kids were murderers to me.
Oh God, yeah. Shit.
I was getting it in every way, bro.
Yeah.
So,
oh God, yeah.
That's gonna be that's a whole session in itself, bro. In regards to actors of color, just and choosing our stage names and just all of that. I could get into that all day, and thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah,
and
of course.
We're not alone in that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's very universal. That we feel a certain way about our representation in our culture and ourselves. That other people don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
And it's something that was top of mind. So this ain't about me. This is about you. And I want to know more. But I'll have to have you back if we ever get into something like that, because I think that's very important.
It's interesting. Right?
Those lines of being an actor of color in this business.
Yeah, and like especially speaking as a Filipino, I don't know about you, but my dad, bless him, I love him. My Filipino side of my family, we don't want to make waves. We don't want to we don't want to cause a
part
fuss.
Of it.
We don't want to, be the greasy or the sticky wheel. We just want to, keep our heads down, do the thing. And that was part of that for me, and being like, Inocalla is fine. Like, it's not a big deal. And I still get people who say Inocalla once in a while. And it's truly it's fine because they don't know me and I haven't corrected them. But that's why it's on my Twitter bio. Well, when I was on Twitter bio, my Instagram bio, all the shit says Inocalli, yeah, because that's the pronunciation. It's easy.
I love that you did that too, because you're educating folks. You're letting them know,
right?
I like that.
And it's an easy thing to do, and might as well.
I dig it, bro. You actually just reminded me, because I told you earlier, Patrick Michael is what I decided to lose the last name, but then again, like I told you, I wanted an injection of culture. I was gonna switch the Michael to Mahal.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Patrick Love, Patrick Mahal.
Yeah, I like that. That's sick.
Yeah, but my wife was like, just do the 3 name thing. And then other people I tested it against were like, do the 3 Patrick Michael Strange. They all dug that, and they're like, Strange is gonna pick up later, so
Strange is dope.
Right.
Strange is cool though.
I feel it in certain ways.
I like it.
Thank you, sir. So let me get back to tradition, man, of how I do ShoPowSho. How we like to start off. Well, have you seen previous episodes, man? Are you ready? Are you ready for what I'm about to put you through?
I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
All right. Well, before we get into your story, what we love to do is go through and shout out those that came before. I like to find out if what you do now, if what your makeup comes from the roots, from the seeds that came before. So shouting out, would love to mom, dad, grandparents, aunties, uncles, if there's anything you don't want to get into, because there's sometimes family are estranged, certain things are hardcore subjects. It's just to find out if any of the talent that you have is within the DNA and is in the blood. So if you could just give me a little bit of, some throwback on, maybe even how before you even came to Vancouver, Canada, how the roots, if you know the roots back from the Philippines.
I've been very, very fortunate that my family has been so supportive of me and of my career and of my choices. Certainly I was saying that, I teach our niece. I learned that from my dad. My dad's a grandmaster. My dad travels the world. He's just now coming back from Virginia after having spent some time in Germany, going back to the Philippines and coming back here. He's always flying. That is such a huge connection to my culture, and I learned it from him. My mom is a child and youth psychologist, and that has helped to inform me in ways in terms of like how I interact with the world. And my brother, my brother is in Nashville right now. He's a writer. He's a playwright, and
Wow.
he's an actor as well, and he's killing it out there. So I've been very fortunate that my family is, while we're not always the closest, we all recognize where we came from, you know?
Beautiful. Yeah. So are y'all very introverted? It sounds like in certain respects,
Uh,
somewhat introverted.
in certain ways, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I am like an extrovert introvert, I want to say. I'm like an ambivert, I think it is. Where like I am so like happy to just hang out in my house with my partner and my dog, or just like even just play video games for too long straight. But I'm also an actor, I need to be out there. I need to be connected to people, and I need to connect myself to people. My brother's probably more introverted than I am, and my dad is the biggest extrovert. He just is constantly going. I have not seen someone eat that many dinners in one night with that many different people. Like, bless his soul. He's just like, I can't keep up, and he's way older.
I love that. I love that. That sounds so awesome, man. You sound like you have a lovely family, and the talent is definitely running through all of your veins. That's beautiful. All right, so let me get some we've given respect to the family. Let's get into the Jesse and Ocalia story from uh conception to you know what? I'm changing up the method now, I guess, if you will, because it's been a minute since I've done
Please.
these from conception to high school years. Let me get a little bit of like early childhood into first days of school, middle school, elementary, heading into high school.
Yeah. So I was born in Canada. I was born in Burnaby, British Columbia, which is more or less a suburb of Vancouver. So I've been here most of my life. Like I said, my mom, child psychologist, but she's from she's from South Carolina by way of Florida.
Oh
So
wow.
she moved up here during the Vietnam War because she was helping people dodge the draft and get away from the war.
Go
And
ahead, Ma.
I know, right? Shit. And my dad, my dad was a monk. Clearly not a great monk because I'm here and my brother's here and my sisters are around.
I
But
love it.
he was doing traveling lectures about peace.
Wow.
And he ended up here, and he and my mom met, and they started a runaway home together for teens that ran away from their houses. And I was born into kind of that environment. I don't remember a lot of it, frankly, because it was a long time ago, longer than I care to admit sometimes. But I came up through school. I'd always been interested. I'd always loved cartoons, always loved video games. Very funny. My mom never wanted video games in the house. And then my dad, on one of his travels back from the Philippines, stopped off in Japan. He had a quick layover, and he bought a Game Boy for my brother and I. And that was it. It was over.
That was
She
a gateway
lost.
drug.
It was, dude. It totally was. I'm there playing fucking Super Mario World and Tetris, and I'm gone. My brain was already, this is it.
Love
So I'd
it.
always had aspirations of wanting to be an actor because my dad, after his time as a monk came to an end, he was always an arnis instructor, and through that, he came through the stunt community. And as I was coming up, he was doing stunts for like MacGyver and Clan of the Cave Bear and X-Files and like all these shows that shot in Vancouver at the time.
Wow.
And I would go to set with him sometimes and see these incredible stunts. I remember there was this one film he did. I want to say it was The Hunted or The Hunted 2, something like that, where he, as the stunny, had to fall off of a suspension bridge into the river below, and it was like a 60-foot drop. And I'm on set watching this, and I was like, my dad's dead.
Yeah.
Shit. Uh-oh. And of
Was
course
this your
he
first
was
time seeing your dad perform like that?
I like that, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my, this is, well, I guess I don't have a dad. Wild. And I was crying as a kid. And then like he comes up and he's fine. He's totally fine. And I have been overreacting this entire time, but I'm a kid, so of course I'm gonna. And it was really like through moments like that where I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Like you can make a living off of this."
I can only man. I would definitely be hooked too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was hooked. I was hooked. And my dad, a big formative thing for him is he was Michelangelo on Ninja Turtles 3. He was the stunt guy for that.
Dope.
So I get like the whole family moves down to Seaside, Oregon, where they're shooting it for most of the summer, and they needed kids. I was 10 at the time, 8 or 9 or 10 at the time. So I'm in the movie as an extra a bunch. They brought me in as a stunt kid for a stunt that ended up being cut for the main kid for Travis Moon. And the bug had bit me. It was over. I tried, but there's nothing else I wanted to do except that. And yeah, after that, my dad did. This is leading up into the high school years. My
Were your
dad,
were your parents aware that you got the bug? Like after you like
oh, they
were
knew.
becoming
They knew.
fascinated with your dad, did like you express that to them? And then was mom were they both like no, I don't want you to get hurt like I do. Were they receptive to all of
They
that?
were receptive. They were pretty
Yeah.
receptive. My mom, she put me in acting classes,
Sweet.
which they didn't really take at that time because
Yeah.
I wanted to do the cool stuff. I didn't want to
Yeah.
learn. And my dad continuing his turtle legacy. So that Saban show, Next Mutation, Turtles Next Mutation, was
Uh-huh.
shot here in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And my dad's small, right? My dad's like 5'2" and he's quite slender. So he ended up stunt doubling for the girl turtle on it, Venus.
Okay.
And I ended up going to set with him all the time because they would shoot over summer and like what else am I doing, right? Like
Right?
I'm 12 or 13 and I'm like I'm just going to my dad's on set, they like me. I'm just going to go with him. So I spent a lot of time on that set coming up and reading the scripts and like I ended up helping the stunt coordinator break down some of the scripts like just for shits like it was I'm sure they were just humoring me at the time but
Wow.
all of this to say like it's funny one of my voice coaches was Rob Paulson who's like
Yeah,
Raphael
Yakko,
in
Pinky
Ninja
in the
Turtles.
Brain.
Yeah. So I told him this, and he was like, "You have like turtle blood, man. Like you came through that lineage with your dad. Now you're training with me."
That's
Like,
awesome.
yeah, it was really really formative to spend so much time on those sets with my dad and coming up and understanding the film industry.
Hell yeah. That's
Or not understanding, and we'll get to that later, but
yeah, yeah. But for the most part, you kind of understand just the culture, the
yeah.
community, if you
Yeah. I
will.
got to understand the
Yeah.
community and feel like, how much of a family it all was.
Awesome. Awesome. So that was like, summers here and there. So did you, we're not getting into high school yet. So
Yeah,
like when you were in school, did you like participate in plays and stuff like that? Did you you said your mom wanted to get you through training, but you weren't like really because you're
I
still
totally
tender at that
wasn't.
age. You
I
want to
was I
party.
was so green,
So
man.
did you do anything in school or like
I
school?
did. It's funny too because when I was in elementary school, I was so shy still. So I
Mm,
was like I was happy to do like backstage stuff for school plays or help
yeah,
build props for school plays. But I never wanted to be like the star
got
because
it.
it was so much pressure and I was scared.
Mm,
But yeah, like I had there was stuff I had wanted to do, but I was too scared. I was too shy, you know?
yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. No, I feel that. I feel that. Um, I'm trying to think of my questions because I'm like sidetracked on the coolness of your life, bro. That's awesome. Um, Filipino side of culture. So
Yes,
you're mixed family.
I am mixed family.
Your dad's Filipino, your
My
mom's
dad's
white.
Filipino, my mom's white. Yeah.
What was that like growing up? When did you realize I'm Filipino? When did you or did you experience any racism? Any when did the
Mm.
cultural thing element happen?
Mm.
And in between, or did any of that happen prior to high school, or did that come like much later or anything like that?
It's funny because like My mom was outnumbered in the household because we had my tita Lily came to live with us
Mm.
when I was a kid, and she helped raise my brother and I. And she is, she's from Manila. She's very, very Filipino, and she always says that like when I was coming up, I spoke like fluent Tagalog until I was like 4. And started like really processing English,
Yeah.
and that took over. Wild. And I didn't really think a lot about it until I started thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I was tan, all my friends were white, and there weren't a lot of other Filipinos in my neighborhood unless they were like nannies, really. And it was interesting, like as a kid, seeing that and processing that and being like, oh, this is weird. This is weird that like there's no like Filipino families.
Yeah.
There's Chinese families in the neighborhood. They're the only other Asians in the neighborhood. There's like white people in the neighborhood, and there's Filipinos who like take care of the kids I play with,
Mm. Mm.
and that was pretty wild.
Hmm.
And like it was never explained to me
Yeah.
because, my family, I don't think that they completely, well, my mom especially, I don't think completely understood the privilege of it. Or not understood, but didn't feel the need to explain to my brother and I the privilege of it
Hmm.
because she very much she's very much of the mind that, everyone is equal under God's eyes and all that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
certainly I came up Catholic as well because I fucking Irish and English or Irish and Filipino. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Except
Same.
my dad's not Catholic at all. But my mom was like, "Oh, that's a part of
Same.
Filipino shit." Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew my dad's Irish Catholic.
Actually? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
there we go.
But there's
Yeah.
a whole nother story about that later that bro, I got drama to tell you later on. But
Oh, dude, I got a whole other side of this too because we thought we were Irish, we're not.
wow.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. I thought I
But
was a mixed kid. You know,
here we
spoilers, no
go.
one really
Here we
knows
go.
this.
Who knows?
Man, a whole DNA testing happened last year that flipped this whole ShoPowSho to a whole nother side, but
Ooh,
not a lot
shit.
of people know about this right now. So
Exciting.
yes,
Exciting. You're the
that's
Vin
a whole
Diesel of
episode.
Filipinos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this to say, I really only started realizing it as I was coming into school because there weren't a lot of other Filipino kids, or at least kids that were identifying themselves as Filipino.
Mm.
And I kind of think about this in terms of like the Mark Paul Gosselaar thing, right? Where Mark
Mm.
Paul Gosselaar is Singaporean.
Yeah.
And I never would have known that looking at him. I only found that out because he said it like 3 years ago in an interview.
Hmm.
And he said that, he did what he did because he wanted to work,
Right. Like we were
which is
saying
wild.
earlier about the whole thing with last names. There's whew, we can get into that. That's like a
Oh
whole
boy.
episode.
But, with me, a lot of it was like, well, what am I?
Bro.
Because, some of the kids are Chinese, some of the kids are Indian, some of the kids are white, Caucasian, Irish, Scottish, English, whatever. They know what they are. And for a while I was like, "Oh, I'm Eurasian? Is that a thing? Am
Hmm.
I know I'm not white, but I'm also not Filipino. What am I?" And that is something I have unpacked more recently than I care to admit.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, bro, I feel you. Bro, I part of what
Please, yeah.
I was, I asking that question. One of the things for me, and I've never done the show pal show on myself with other people yet,
Yeah, yeah.
getting the grilling, but as an actor and as a
Yeah.
performer, uh, I remember I have a memory of elementary in Thanksgiving plays, bro. And
Mm-hmm.
you're Canadian. I live here in America. And I don't know if you do the same kind of Thanksgiving traditions and stuff, but like we have pilgrims and we have the natives
And you were always a native, right?
every single time. And I'm like, why can't I be the lead pilgrim? And it was just never, told to me, but just it starts to tick and it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like, holy, what the fuck?
Oh, I remember, and this is for later on down the line, but it bears saying now because we're on the topic. I used to do a lot of community theater here in
Mm.
Vancouver, And I would routinely get calls from like the community theater group I was working with to be like, "Oh, we're doing Faulty Towers and we need someone to play Manuel." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do that." Because first off, I mean, it's a comic farce character. I don't give a shit. But also, he's like Spanish, I think. Or I got a call once from them being like, "Hey, we need someone to play the porter in Death on the Nile, which is the one Egyptian character in that play." And I'm like, I'm not Egyptian, right? I'm not that.
Yeah. Yep.
Or doing that still, it'd be like, yeah, we cast you for the swarthy foreigner in an Agatha Christie. And I'm like, yeah, of course you did. Of course you did.
Bro, that's a lot to I think
to
all of us
unpack.
as actors, the multicultural, you have a universal look. Like there's moments where like at certain times, you're like, fuck it. Yeah. I'm getting work, getting gigs, but then this is so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You just it's a lot of up and down, and just as you go on your career, it's I'm like past it now, and all of that. And
We
it's
all gotta be, but it still hits.
yeah. But and we all not just got it's in order to change as well and create change. And I'm like, that's why let me jump on the producing side, to create the change. That's the only way we're gonna have change is to be part of the side that makes the change. Man, brother, we're like unpacking. This is also therapy, as if you can't tell.
I'm
love
glad.
it.
Shit, I gotta get into that.
Please. Man, so we're in that. I think we're gonna have to like look at the time, have the high school in forward, make this a 2-part episode. Sorry, y'all. Jesse and Inocalla in the building. I'm gonna have him back. I love this man. So let's talk about nerddom. So we talk a little bit of culture,
please.
learning, and getting into the arts. This is Nerds Rule the World, man. Also part of ShoPowSho. Your dad's on Turtles, bro. Like,
Dad's on Turtles.
When did you got your Game Boy? I don't know if it's Game Boy Color. Like, what was the first seeds of nerddom that you like? Like, I'm a card carrying nerd. Like, what do you first remember falling in love with?
Oh God. Okay. So this is really gonna date me.
Hey, I think I'm.
I'll say stuff and you're gonna be like, oh shit, that's the thing. Truly for me, it was 80s Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
It was, which is why, like, my dad tells the story of him going into the audition for like Michelangelo, and he straight up to the producers was like, "My kids aren't gonna let me back in the house if I don't book this. They know I'm doing this."
I love it.
But 80s Turtles was a huge one for me. Like G1 Transformers was huge for me. When it hit, 90s X-Men was my jam.
Hell yeah.
90s X-Men was the shit, dude. Like that's where my heart was. And yeah, like really cartoons of that era. And one of the big ones, which is very Canadian specific for me, was Samurai Pizza Cats.
Oh yeah, I remember them. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I loved that show, man. I remember because anime hit late for me. Like I remember original Dragon Ball and seeing it once in a while, but I never like knew when it was on the schedule, so I didn't follow it. Samurai Pizza Cats was always reliably Saturday mornings at 8 in the morning, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm up to watch this." And then, as anime started to enter the scene more, I was watching like Sailor Moon, I was watching Inuyasha, I was watching Escaflowne. But the big ones that I remember were our Cartoon Network up here, Teletoon, did a late night block. And that late night block always reliably had either Ninja Scroll,
yes,
Wings of Hanaeamize, or Patlabor.
Wow.
And I remember watching these 3 films specifically, just being like, first off, what am I watching? Because I'm probably 10 or 11 at the time. And I'm just transfixed by these. So anime got me very early. And then once Dragon Ball Z came out and like, oh God, I was gone, man. I was done.
Weird for me though. So like you're an OG anime cat from everything you just said, from what I'm hearing. So was I. But when Dragon Ball came, it felt like it fell off for me. That's what pushed me away
Mm,
because that we
interesting.
had such a the the style and like Akira, like Appleseed, all of that. There's like a
Mhm.
style and so detailed and so amazing. But then here came Dragon Ball that while it was flashy and it had a different, I will give it, and it's like the way the movement was, but the art style was just so sketchy that it pushed me away.
That's fair. I think for me, it was the martial arts thing. It was just the whole like martial arts tie-in. And
Yeah.
my mom, bless her soul, my mom would never let us buy a toy gun, Nerf gun, anything. But if it was like a toy sword or a toy like Sai for Raphael, no problem.
Okay.
Because she saw it as like, martial arts discipline, right?
Yeah. Oh, that all makes sense.
Yeah,
Got it. Actually, that brings me to another question that I had earlier, that is now here. So I'm gonna throw it
here
at
we
you.
are.
With the nonviolent and you know, very peaceful upbringing that you come from, you're cut from,
Hmm.
your father being a monk, your mom being, against the war, and I would assume, just guns and violence and all that, which
Very much a hippie, yeah.
I adore. Did you also rebel against that? Because we are a product of the 80s where it was wham bam action, Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was cool, right? In so many ways.
It was
Like, I
so
can't lie, I
cool.
love that. But
It's still
now as I've
cool.
gotten older, like my dad went again here, in regards to like culture, and as you learn, and my dad is, I think I love my dad, but also I would think he loves his guns more than me. He's straight up NRA guy. He's a Trumper in many ways, and I'm the farthest from that.
For sure.
Like, so like there's so many arguments that happen there, but like, while at one time I thought it was cool, like I'm a big GI Joe guy,
Oh, sure,
80s man,
yeah.
right? you know, but I perceive those things in different ways now. Like, I'm sure that was kind of like your upbringing as well. So do you recall feeling, is your mentality now, because I think you have a different mentality now, did you have the same mentality then because of your upbringing, or did you like rebel against that because, like you said, your mom wouldn't let you buy Nerf guns, she would only let you have that? So did it change? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, the mentality has definitely shifted a couple times. When I was in high school, when I was a kid, I was so like, I really bought into like the 80s machismo of it all. Because, like, of
Man,
course, you're gonna. It's so
yeah,
cool, right?
yeah.
It's so cool. And now I understand so much of that as camp, as opposed to,
It's
what it
weird.
is.
It's weird to see that stuff.
It's weird to see it now, and like it's fun to see it now in with
Yeah,
that mindset.
yeah.
But, there are so many arguments to be made for the very thinly veiled homoeroticism of a lot of those movies, which I now look at and I'm like, oh, that's incredible. That's queer camp at its finest in a lot of ways. But at the same time, as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. They're so strong. I want to be strong like them. I want to be, powerful. I want to be shooting guns and wielding swords and all that stuff, right? And I I've unpacked a lot of that. There is still occasionally times when stuff hits where I'm like, oh, that's really cool, even though it's the worst possible thing it could be.
Yeah, I'm
And
with you, bro.
yeah, I mean, a lot of that, maybe about 7 years ago, I started doing like gun training with the mindset that, like, I look like this, I work in the film industry, someone's going to put a gun in my hand. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And through actually understanding proper, like, my gun coach is an ex-Canadian Special Forces guy, really lovely man, but he also understands, like, this is a tool. This is not meant to be held up with, high acclaim. This isn't God amongst men. It is a tool and needs to be treated as such. Um, Approaching it with that mindset of really just de-romanticizing everything about any sort of weapon ever really helped me to oh god, like, decolonialize my mindset, for lack of better phrasing.
Mm. No,
You know,
you're right
of
there.
the might makes right, all that shit.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about that in terms of Filipino swords because I'm an arnis instructor. I have swords. I know how to use swords, but it's also really interesting to think about like how that weaponry has evolved and how even like the ginunting blade that a lot of Filipino Marines still carry
Mm.
is a hacking tool used to cut through the bush. It's our machete. It's not meant to be like a weapon of war. It's meant to cut down sugarcane so we can get through a field.
Dude, it is yeah, so crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's wild. It's truly wild to think about like the origins of a lot of this stuff and let the romantic fantasy of what it all looks like just fall away and take it for what it is.
Mm, I'm with it. Dude. Oh man, I'm like looking at the time and also like I think I have time for one more question, man. And
Please go.
again, there's gonna be a part two, y'all, with Jesse and Inocalla. Stay tuned for that. We'll have that happen. Um, Going back to the Filipino roots in regards to like
Yeah.
teaching as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Again, your father was the Filipino, your mom's white. Did In my household, it's always our mother who teaches. In my household, my mom's Filipino, my dad's white.
Yeah.
So did you learn? Well, you did say your tita was living you. So that was
Yeah.
so was your tita the main reason you would learn about the culture in that time? Well, because I would assume your
Yeah,
dad working
probably.
on set
Yeah. Oh my,
quite a
and I
bit.
mean, as
So
with a lot of Filipino dads, he took off when I was 13.
exactly. So like right,
And
busy.
now we're tight, but we had moments.
I'm sure.
But yeah, like he took off to the Philippines for a while when I was 13,
Okay.
and I didn't end up seeing a lot of him through my teens and up through really a lot of my college years too.
Okay.
But my tita was always around and she was a great source of like the culture for me. You know,
Okay.
she really helped connect us to the culture in the way she could. You know, she would she would bring home sweets from, her very Filipino like Christian church that she would go to. Um but I really, especially coming up through my teens, I didn't have a lot of connection to go with.
Mm,
I always had my martial arts to fall back on, but
okay.
even then I was like, no one else does this. I don't have a community around it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you didn't really have that many around. So it was just
I
really
didn't.
her
It was
and
really her and like the nannies I saw,
got it.
and
Okay.
she would, sometimes bring us over to like a relative of hers house and I would get to play with the kids there, or I remember like going to one of her relatives' houses and playing like Super Mario World with
Hmm.
the two kids that were
Yeah.
there, you
Yeah.
know? And that was weirdly so recharging for me because it was just like being around my people, right?
Yeah. Well, did you take to it at that point? So did you feel like my people, or were you somewhat, you know,
I don't think I
that you
understood it
didn't
at the
appreciate
time.
it, or did you care? And or how did your mom feel about the cultural elements? So like, did she want you to learn more, or did
Yeah.
just trying to raise good kids?
I think my mom really wanted to keep us connected to our roots.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my dad, when my dad took off, he was like gone for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
And my mom, I think she recognized the responsibility of having mixed race kids.
Yeah.
She wanted to make sure that my brother and I still had as much of a connection to our Filipino roots as we could, but I mean, bless her, she's a at the time Irish woman
Yeah.
who didn't really know.
Yeah. Yeah.
She'd spent a little bit of time in the Philippines just because she had traveled with my dad, but she didn't know parols for
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
She didn't know manopol. She didn't know like things that I would have to learn on my own
Yeah.
as Filipino tradition or Filipino custom or stuff. And it was hard
Yeah.
reconnecting with that, you know? My tita was around and I'm always very grateful and appreciative of her for that and what she was able to give to us, even
Definitely.
in terms of just like, this is pancit or this is bibingka or this is like uh food that she would make for us that is distinctly Filipino.
Awesome.
You know, but it was a fight. It was a fight internally to reconnect and to understand the value of my culture.
Okay, so we're gonna have to go back to that when you finally were able to connect and learn more. I'm sure. So we'll get into that with the next part of the interview. So I guess what we'll close out, since you brought up food, and as you hear when I open up ShoPowSho, because I'm the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Hala Hala homies in the Center Gang. Does Jesse Inocalla have a favorite Filipino dish? Or what was your first? Actually, you know what? We'll save. I'll help you. I'm gonna help you.
Please,
I'm gonna help you save to and make you let you choose your favorites on part 2. Do you recall your first Filipino dish during that time period, in that time frame?
I do. Turon.
Yeah. And did you like it? Or no?
You did? I loved it, man. Like, my family grew up eating in like Chinese restaurants, Vietnamese restaurants, like Asian restaurants, because there wasn't Filipino restaurants. It's 1980s Vancouver, BC.
Yeah.
And they would always have like, like wonton wrapped banana or whatever as part of the dessert menu. And I'm a kid, I love desserts. So like I would talk about that, and my tita would be like, "Oh, that's turon." That's just like, and she would make it, and it was great. It was fantastic. And that kind of led to like deep fried lumpia and stuff within the house and pancit and just like things like that were, because I'm vegetarian too. My whole family's vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
Those were all like easy in.
I'm gonna have to ask you about that too, because you're Filipino.
It's wild.
It's got to be hard.
There's like, I'll tell you though, like here in Vancouver, there are 3 Filipino restaurants now that have extensive and outstanding vegetarian menus.
I love that. That's beautiful.
It's crazy. It's so good. This place, Culinaria, does I took some white friends there who'd never had Filipino food before.
Yeah.
I got like the vegan kare-kare. They got the regular kare-kare. And they were like, "Oh, the vegan's better." Which I was like, "Are shit really?" Yeah, we won.
I love it. Well, Jesse, I appreciate you, man. I'm sorry we're having to make this a 2-parter.
It's all good. Happy to come back. Happy to spend time with you, man.
Bro, appreciate you. We'll set that up. But before we go, I'm gonna have all of your links in the description below so people can follow you. But for those that are listening, driving right now, because I have a lot of people that commuters that like to watch this and listen to it while they're doing their thing. How can people check you out online?
I am at J Inocalla on everything. JINOCALLA. That is Instagram primarily now. That's Blue Sky. That is Twitch. Don't follow me on Twitch. I don't use it. I gotta confirm, because I get ads on Twitch and I'm like, why are you here? I don't use this. You can check out my website, jesseinocalla.com. When I do conventions, I always announce them on socials first. So check out my Instagram. That's my main socials now. And keep an eye on what I've got going on. I've got Dragon Prince, of course, season 6 coming out this year. Season 6, good Lord. Wow, we've been at it.
Congrats, brother.
Congrats. Thank you so much. I have stuff in this latest update for Genshin Impact. I have my adventures with Superman. That was such a dream. That was such a dream to get to work on. And I always have new stuff coming out, and there's one that is coming soon that I can't say anything else about, but it's coming soon.
I'm so happy for you, brother. That's amazing. Everybody, the Toronto Terminator, Jesse Inocalla. All of his links are in the description below. Show him love, follow, so you can hear and see all of the amazing things he has coming up. If he's at a con, man, go get your picture with him, get a signature. Such a talented brother. So honored to have you on here, man. And I'm looking forward to our part 2 conversation, y'all. So stay tuned. It'll be up on ShoPowSho very soon. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to put it in the books. But everybody, salamat. Jesse Inocalla, your boy Kuya P, ShoPowSho. Mahal kita. Salamat.
Salamat po.
There you go, sir.